Diana was the person that contacted you. Diana, wave your hand and say hi to
Hi,
Greg.
Greg. Do you see
Hi.
me?
Yeah. Yes,
don't
Hello.
there he is. I mean, I can see him. He's listed as Greg. And Greg, I looked at your website. I mean, you're on Flickr, right?
Yeah, I have some stuff on Flickr. Yep.
You have a lot of nice photos on Flickr. And as far as I can research, I think the last time you were with us was in 2018 as a judge.
Maybe.
Yeah,
I mean,
your
I thought
name was-
maybe even sooner than that, or more recent. But
I didn't see anything on the list. We have
You
a
were
list of the
talking at
judges.
that time about going to a western state, not Colorado. I forget which one.
Wyoming
Wyoming, that was it, yeah.
Mhm.
didn't make it.
Oh,
Oh, well.
Actually, what happened is my mother is 92, and we decided to stay in the area until as long as she stays around, because it would have made it too difficult to get back and forth.
yeah,
Sure.
I know
Good
that feeling.
decision.
Yeah, especially, yeah, at a certain point, you just have to make that decision. Yeah. Well, welcome, and you have all the rules and regulations. We sent you, Diane sent you in the last email. It was an updated version of the letter prior. So if you have any questions as we go through it, Mark is good at explaining that.
Right, I do have a question. Galaxy 9, S9, I don't know who that is. Taking attendance.
Oh. Galaxy S9, who's Galaxy? Yeah, she's connecting to audio.
Galaxy X9 is connecting to audio, so give him or her a chance, and they'll let us know.
It could be one of the newer members.
I hope so.
Who's the one in the upper corner, the DICOH?
David,
That's Greg. Oh,
Greg's in Greg's box.
right.
yeah, DLCOH, David Cohen.
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
Oh, Galaxy is now muted again. Hi, Diane.
Okay, Greg, let me set things up here. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to start with open and open B, which is the beginner to intermediate pictures.
Good.
Okay, and here
And
we
the
go.
open is not is an open category, correct?
That's correct. Absolutely correct. Here we go. Open B. A roast pork shrimp lunch.
Let me ask this question real quick. Are you going to go through them all first, or are you going to just go one at a time?
If you want, I'll go through them all. It's up to you.
No, yeah, maybe better. That might be helpful.
Okay.
Oh, some nice pictures in there.
I'm asking people to be quiet, otherwise I'll have to mute everybody.
Sorry.
Okay. And if I recall correctly, you said this would be a first and a second on this, correct?
That's correct.
Now, do you want me to go ahead and score these, or do you still want to do in and out?
So why don't we do in and out?
Okay.
Roast pork shrimp lunch.
Okay. The exposure's done fairly nicely on this. The composition, I'm having a little. I don't like things that typically that it comes straight down on something like this. I think a little bit of an angle would have made it be a little more dynamic. But I think the colors are okay. I find that there's the browns of the sauce and stuff kind of muddle the center of it a little bit. I think the sharpness is fine. But I'm gonna go out on this.
How about a snack?
Okay. This is an interesting shot. It's obviously in a store of some sort. It's kind of a nutty photo. Sorry, had to say that. I think it's interesting in that the nuts provide a number of different colors associated with it, and that's kind of nice. The depth of field looks good, and actually, I like the way the composition on this goes to the depth of that far back pelt. So that actually adds a little more depth to the whole image and works well. I'm going to keep this in for the time being.
Great. Canadian version of Cheers.
I think the exposure is fine. The sharpness is fine. I just have a little bit of an issue with, all you see backs of people, and you typically want more faces. You want it. It makes it a little more personable. I think the color scheme on this is fine. It has a very nice color scheme. But I'm gonna keep this in for the time being.
Visit at Alaska Animal Preserve.
Okay, typical Alaska type picture. It's a nice landscape. Everything is good in terms of sharpness, in terms of color and exposure. I like the way the composition has been set up in this to where you get the depth of the image looking back to that far mountain range. I'll keep this in.
Looking for a hand out.
Yeah, I mean, this is just a really cute picture. It's a real nice, the dog has a great expression on its face. It kind of tells a story. He's looking at that ham bone, and, it's like, oh, I'm almost surprised he's not drooling on the ham bone at this point. But yeah, this is nice. I'll keep this.
Flying in the Northwest.
Okay, nice sharp image. You got a little bit of blur on the propellers, but yet they're sharp enough to where you know that it's not a dead plane flying in the air, going to crash. So that's good. Everything is sharp. The colors are fine. Exposure looks good. It's just a little bit static for my taste. I'm going to say out.
Tour at Kenje Fjords.
The fjords are really fun to be around, especially if they've calved while you're there. You get a big wave coming at you and stuff. It's interesting. I think it's the exposure looks okay. It's a little hot on the far right center. It looks like that could have been toned down just a little bit. And I think that's probably the one distracting element in this image that kind of pulls my eye away from the main part of the glacier and the boat. I'm gonna take this out.
Three of a kind.
Yeah, nice picture of the flowers. Three, pictures of three are always good. The colors are nice on this. The exposure's done well. I do find that the lower left-hand corner, I find that a little bit distracting. It kind of pulls my eye away from the image of the flowers. But for right now, I'm going to keep it in.
Stroke, stroke, stroke.
Yeah, so in this image, it's interesting. You got them on a nice diagonal going through. I like the panoramic type image, the way you've done that. You've got the paddles all moving, and that's nice. I think what really helps this picture is the five guys wearing the bright lime green shirt. It really makes it stand out. So I think this works pretty well. I just wonder sometimes if you had gone in. I know you were trying to get the paddles and everybody all together, but it tends to push it far away. And I just would almost like to see it tighter on the people, to show the expressions and so forth of the people. But it is what it is. So, I'm gonna keep it in for the time.
Okay. Round two. How about a snack?
I'll give this a 8.
Canadian version of Cheers.
I think I'll go 7 on this.
Okay. Visit at Alaska Animal Preserve.
I'll give this a 9.
Looking for a handout.
I'll give this a 9.
Tree of a kind.
I'll give it an 8.
Stroke, stroke, stroke.
7.
Okay. Let me just, somebody else is joining. Okay, what we're gonna do here. Yeah, I'm gonna put a V here and we're gonna look at both pictures. One will be first and one will be second.
I'm gonna make the dog because it has such a great story associated with it. That'll be first.
Open second place. Visit Animal Preserve, Sandy. Beautiful job, Sandy. And first place. Looking for a handout, Jack. Great job, Jack. Well, Jack's not here, but great job anyway. Okay, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go with open A. We have 16. And what I'll do is, you want me to just go through in one shot?
Yes, please.
Somebody's talking. Do me a favor if you're not the judge.
No, it's close the door.
Okay, now we're gonna go through here. Open A, falling leaf.
It's a nice shot. I'm assuming you caught it in the air. If not, however you did it, did a nice job with it. I would have preferred not to have it quite so much in the center, but it's a very nice shot. I'll keep this in.
It is nice.
Okay, I might have to quiet everybody except the judge. Spires.
Is there a way we can mute ourselves? I don't see the mute button on the screen.
Well, you know
Should
what?
be on the bottom of your screen.
There is a way you can do it.
You know what I can do is just hold this for a second. I'm
Yeah, I
gonna
see
mute all.
mute.
I'm gonna mute all. I'm gonna ask Greg to unmute himself. Greg?
Oh, there it is.
Okay, great. So let's go back into this now. Spires.
It's a nice black and white. I think it's handled fairly well. the depth of field is falling off on it a little bit. You can look at the rooster wind vane and you kind of see that the depth of field is falling on it. But it's sharp enough towards the front where you're catching most of your image. I like the way it's offset with the spires. What I do find a little bit distracting is the little bit of the building on the right middle side of the image where you have this little white something part of the building sticking out. I find my eye being pulled over to that, but I'll keep this in for the time being.
Okay, Ghost Forest.
Really nice. I really like the colors and the reflection in this. The blues are really, really soothing and nice. It's handled very, very nicely. I'll keep this in.
Great egret in the mist.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think the mist does you a disservice in this image, because it makes it feel like it's washed out. And the blurry, and there's a little bit of motion blur associated with it as well. So it takes away from the sharpness. You can see the feathers in the back of the bird tend to be have been moving or something at the time. So I'll take this out.
Persian painting.
Okay. The colors are fine. The exposure is good. The sharpness is fine at work. We'll keep it in.
Under the covers.
Okay. It's a different photo. I mean, it's kind of a unique topic the way you did it. That's kind of good. It's sharp. Exposure is good. I would have preferred to see a little bit not quite so dead center in the image. The focus is really on the hands sticking out of the sheet. And I think if it had been a little bit either to the diagonal upper or downer, or following it down towards the lower left or the upper right, I think it would have added a little more impact to the image. But I'm gonna say out at this point.
View down the canal.
A really nice image. I love the mirror-like quality in the water. I like the S curve or the sweeping curve that of the leading line that carries you into the image. Probably could have used a little bit less of the tree on the left, and but other than that, I think it's handled really nicely. I'll keep it in.
Painting with a sparkler.
Yeah, and that these are always fun images. The problem is the sparkler gets so hot in terms of terms of blowing things out. It tends to be a little bit distracting. The child looks like she's having a great time, but and I like the way the sparkler has kind of created the rooster tails all the way around it. That adds a little more interest to the image. But I'm going to take this out.
All aboard?
Yeah. I think I don't know. So the diagonal is really nice on this. The problem I'm having with it is it's so bright in the reds, especially on the left-hand side. It just pulls my eye right to that spot of the picture. And I think I really want to be looking down the train more to the person holding the sign, but that becomes almost an afterthought in the image because the left-hand side is so bright. And it's not overexposed. It's just so bright and so large that it really pulls me up there and not towards the person. I think maybe if the angle had been a little bit less of the train on the left and maybe a little more to the right, that would have brought her into, or that person into the image a little more. And that's what I find a little bit distracting. So I'm going to say out.
Seawater rushes up through a blowhole.
Okay. I think, yeah, I think you've got the exposure fine. The horizon line is fine. Oh, is that can't tell if that's on my screen or that screen. There's a dot up in the upper above the top center. I'm not sure if there's a dust spot there. I think the problem with this image is the perspective that you're at. And I think when you're looking down on an image like this, it tends to be a really difficult thing to capture. You're trying to capture the whole plume, but it kind of washes things out a little bit. I'm going to take this out.
Rose drop.
Nice image. The exposure's done nicely. A lot of times with the reds, you can really oversaturate things to where it gets, you lose all the detail, but you've maintained the detail. I like the water spots. It adds a little more interest to the image as well. The background is okay. Maybe, I don't know if it's something that you've added or not, but that's neither here nor there. That's fine. I think the contrast in the yellow versus the pink, that works okay. We'll keep this in.
Good.
So this is a very interesting image. I really like the it's just tack sharp. The the color contrast between the bike and the building and the yellows and the shop itself really works. It really creates a depth and kind of tells somewhat of a story. I like this a lot. I'm going to keep this in.
Lounge chairs and table.
Another really nice shot. Nice use of black and white and light to create the story and with the light as well. It's handled very, very nicely. Keep this in.
Two guys hanging loose at sunset.
Yeah. Again, it's a nice panoramic. The way you focused. You use the stone pier to your advantage as a leading line. That works. I think that the person in the orange suit really helps add a little more interest to the image, because otherwise everybody would be of the same tones and you'd lose something. But I find the overall tone of the image to be somewhat needing more contrast. And so it tends to all kind of blur together, with the exception of the guy in the orange. I'm going to take this out.
Gladiolus morning mist.
Interesting image. I think it's handled very nicely. Exposure's done well. It's sharp where it needs to be sharp. The water droplets add a lot of interest. The background actually works well with this image the way it is. It almost creates a high key kind of situation, although it's really not, but it kind of gives me that impression. Handled well. I'll keep it in.
Leisurely walking into the Wakadahachi Reserve.
That's easy for you to say. Yeah, so, okay, typically, like I've said in the past, I like where people are kind of walking towards you, you see the faces, so forth and so on. In this case, I think it works even with the people walking away. You have a very strong leading line that takes you into the image. The vegetation is thick enough around it, around the walkway, that it doesn't create its own image but to itself. It really kind of focuses. It creates a window with the leading line of the bridge. So in that sense, it works well. The perspective works well on this. I'm going to leave this in.
Okay. Round two, we have 10 Stonebridge Photography Club, Open A, round two.
And how many am I? I'm doing a first, second, third.
No, you're doing 7, 8, and 9 on this round.
Oh, just 7, 8, 9. Okay.
Yeah.
But only nines, or only honorable mentions only are if they're nines or above.
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna the way the leaf pops on this, it works really, really well. I'm gonna give this a 9.
Spires,
I'll give this an 8.
Ghost Forest,
Give this a 9.
Persian Painting,
I'll give this an 8.
View Down the Canal,
I give this a 9.
Rose Drop,
Um, eight,
Good,
9,
Lounge Chairs and Table,
9.
Gladiola's Morning Mist,
Uh, 9.
Leisurely Walking into the Wakadahachi Reserve, whatever. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna get a first, second, and third, and the remainder will be honorable mention.
Okay, I'm gonna give the storefront.
Yeah,
I'm gonna give. I'm going back and forth between the storefront and the chairs. I think I'm gonna go with the storefront as 1 and the chairs 2, and the flower 3rd.
this one,
Yes.
okay. Okay. Open A, honorable mention, Falling Leaf Mario, beautiful. Ghost Forest, Dan once again.
Wait. Hold on a second. That was. Oh, I'm sorry. They were all honorable mentions. You're right. Okay, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I got myself confused.
That's okay. View Down the Canal, Rich, great job. Third place, Gladiola Morning Mist, Dave. Wow, that background is beautiful. Second place, Lounge Chairs and Tables, Dan again. Wow. And first place, Rich, good, excellent. Wow, that was a beautiful contest. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go into abstracts, and we're going to start with B. And I will once again just go through the pictures for round 1.
This is B is the lower group, right?
Yes,
Okay, sorry.
and this is abstract.
Yep.
Okay, now we're going to go through scoring abstract.
Before we start, please, I just want to confirm with abstract. So your definition of abstract again?
I'm gonna pass on that. I'm gonna let Sandy, if you'd be so kind. Sandy or Mario.
I have to go back. Let me go what I sent you.
Yeah, I read it, but I was just a little confused with it, so.
Oh, okay. Hold on. I have to go find my mail. Anybody find it sooner, let me know. Um,
Can you hear me?
yeah,
Yeah,
oh,
I
you
can hear
got it?
you.
You got the definition,
No,
Mario?
does anybody have the website? It's on the
I ha-
homepage.
I have I sent it out, so I know I have it. So let me just go to the contest.
If anybody can get to the homepage, it's on the homepage there.
Right on the homepage?
Yeah, it's on where the contest information is on the homepage.
Well, let me see if I got it. I must have it here. Hold on. Okay, abstract photos should be thought of as photos that don't attempt to represent external reality, but seek to achieve its effect using shapes, forms, colors, and textures. Abstract photos usually consist of images created using photographic equipment that don't have an immediate association with the real world. Abstract photography uses perspective, movement, and light to transform what we see into an unexpected, often unrecognizable image.
So I guess my confusion is it should not be recognizable as,
No, Greg, this is a very difficult theme, I think.
It is
But I've
difficult.
also seen definitions where they talk about macro photography,
Right.
as you know, when you get very close. I think the idea is that that it's something that's not readily recognizable. Um, and like I said, I have seen definitions where they've talked about macro photography, where you can make out what it is if you really think about it, you know, but it's up close. To me, it's a difficult topic, a difficult theme. We tried to define it as best we could, but I don't want you to limit it to something that you think is unrecognizable.
Yeah, there are some examples. They give simplicity, composition, angle of view, lighting, harmony, mystery. Those are key elements.
I guess my issue is, and I'm just trying to make sure so I don't screw somebody, wrongly. And I'll use one of the images that was in this group that just flashed by. There was an image of Antelope Canyon, of the light coming through Antelope Canyon, one of the slot canyon. And I think they were trying to use the shapes of that slot canyon as an abstract, but it really is the image of the slot canyon. So I'm trying to understand, is that going to be considered an abstract or not?
Well, I mean, it's difficult for us to say we didn't see these photos. Here's what I would suggest: be as liberal as possible.
Okay.
And if you think your score is going to be impacted by how you view whether this photo is meets your criteria for abstract. In other words, you're going to score it lower because you just don't think it fits your concept of abstract. Then I would say disqualify it.
Yeah,
Okay.
disqualify opens it up for the futures where they can
And that's
resubmit
where I was going. That's what I wanted to make
Yeah.
sure about.
Right. We had that in the letter to you.
Yeah.
We do that because it doesn't restrict anybody in the future. But my suggestion would be, it's a difficult topic. It's tough for us all to get our hands around it. I would say be as liberal as possible. But I don't think it needs to be unrecognizable.
I understand.
Okay.
Okay, I'll give it my best shot.
We have faith in you.
Yes.
Okay, let's
Of
start
course,
out.
we may stone you at the end of this.
And
too.
that's okay too,
All right, here goes. Leave me alone.
Okay, so this obviously is a leaf, but I'm okay with that. I mean, because this is really about the lines and the shapes and the colors associated with that. And it's an interesting image in that sense. I think the exposure at some points is a little bit, not hot, but it just creates a glossiness in some areas that tend to distract from the image a little bit. I think maybe if you had taken it a little bit, not head on, but at a little bit of an angle, you would have gotten rid of some of that and it would have made it a stronger image. So I'm gonna say out on this.
Crisscross.
This is my idea of when you say abstract to me, this comes right to mind. It's all about the lines and the shapes and so forth and so on. Probably is a bridge or something, which is fine, but it really creates a very geometric pattern. It creates those type of things. Definitely abstract. I'll keep this in.
Totem.
Okay. Interesting use of colors and shapes. We'll keep this in for now.
Zoom on evergreens.
Yeah. This is it's definitely an interesting image. Use the zoom, to create the I forget what you call it, the pattern, the way it looks. It creates a lot of interest in the image. We'll keep this in.
Hot Canyon.
I like this. I like this a lot, and I think it's a really cool place. This is the Antelope Canyon that I was talking about. I don't think it really fits the role of abstract, and I think this would be one that definitely could be used in a different contest. So I'm going to DQ.
Okay. Swept up.
Okay. Okay, it's definitely interesting, and different. It's an abstract form, but there's just a lot of distracting elements in it that I think aren't part of the abstract that tend to pull my eye. So I'm going to say out.
Winter Light Show in Williamsburg.
Definitely abstract. It's just you've got the hot lights going creating a pattern going out. I don't find the interest in this though, so I'm gonna say out.
Kaleidoscope lunch.
Definitely abstract. I mean, it's interesting. It's got a lot to look at. Colors are okay. Sharpness is okay. Um, I'll keep it in for now.
Lime.
Okay. I think your specular highlights in this tend to make it a little distracting for me. Again, I think this is one of those situations where, again, I think if you, instead of coming straight down on it, I think if you had taken it at a little more of an angle, I think it would have added a lot more impact to the image, and you probably would have not had quite as many specular highlights. I'm going to say out.
Per Bentley.
Okay. It's a definitely interesting image. I like the colors that are associated with that, the pattern. We'll keep this in for the time being.
Smoky Curls.
Again, a nice abstract form. I like the diagonal look of this. The blue against the black works well. We'll keep this in.
Prismatic.
Um, Definitely fits the category. It the perspective of falling down this shaft or whatever it is interesting. I just find that as you go down, it tends to get kind of muddied as you go down, and that kind of is distracting to me. I think the stronger part of the image, the upper right quadrant. I think that would have made a very strong image as in itself. But I think I know what you're trying to do with it, but I don't think like I said, as it descends, it tends to get muddy, and I don't find it as interesting that way. So I'm going to say out.
Tomato, tomato.
Yeah, I don't think it's as much about the tomatoes as it is about the pattern of the leaves and the star-shaped leaves on each one of these things. It creates kind of a lattice work pattern. It's kind of similar in a sense to the geometric forms on the bridge. It's the same kind of thing in my mind when I see this. That's the pattern that I'm seeing. So I'll keep this in.
A friendly figure.
Okay. Um, an abstract of some sort. I do find like the upper right hand corner with a little bit coming in on the edge, a little bit distracting. It kind of pulls my eye. I'm gonna say out.
Sand dune.
Okay, so I think the pattern that you're trying to show as the abstract is through the center of the image, and I think the the stripe at the top and the stripe at the bottom don't help that. It creates it pulls you away from being an abstract, but as much as strong of an abstract. I think you would have had a stronger image had you cropped the top and the bottom out, and just kept that center piece. I'm going to say out.
Looking up.
Again, this is the geometric forms. It's definitely abstract form. The diagonal lines work. I'll keep this in.
Intentional movement on pond.
Yeah. Again, it's another zoom blur. However, in this one, I'm finding that I'm not picking anything out that's really focusing my eye on what I'm looking at. I find that the center images on this with the zoom blur tend to be really muddled to the point where it just looks jumbled. I'm going to say out.
Can't see through.
Again, another nice geometric, abstract, repeating elements. Works well. I'll keep it in.
Grays and whites.
Same thing. Keep it in.
What's up?
Didn't we just see that image?
I guess, yeah, it was put in, all right.
I'm sorry.
You know what? We did. Person had two copies.
Okay.
Okay, I don't remember, was it in or out, Greg?
I kept it in.
Okay, you know what, though? I'll put this one out. So we don't have two in the next go around. Agreed?
It's the same person, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Probably one of them should have gone in the open. Okay, abstract world of ice.
That's interesting. Okay. Interesting image. and what I really like about this image is the little bit of color that's kind of sneaks in through it. The prismatic color that kind of works nicely. The exposure's done fairly well on this, and as well as the sharpness. We'll keep it in.
Watermelon.
Yeah, it's an abstract, and it's repeating geometric shapes. Not not totally convinced about the yellow and purple, or the greenish yellow purple combination. But at this point, we'll keep it in.
Okay. Round 2. Crisscross.
This is 9.
Totem.
I'm gonna say 8.
Zoom on evergreen.
7.
Kaleidoscope lunch.
9.
Her Bentley.
9.
Smoky curls.
9.
Tomato.
8.
Looking up.
There's a couple spots on this that are in the imperfections, and so if those had been cloned or fixed, I think this would have been a 9, but I'm gonna give it an 8.
Can't see through.
Give it a 9.
Grays and whites.
This, I think, just needs a little more contrast or a little less exposure. But I'll give it an 8.
Abstract world of ice.
This is beautiful. I'm gonna give it a 9.
Watermelon.
8.
Okay, now we have 6.
That's first.
This is first, okay?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That's second. This is third.
Which one?
The car door.
The what?
Car door. The pink. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me just say, some difficult choices there.
I have to agree with you. It's tough.
Okay, abstract B. Honorable mention. Kaleidoscope lunch, Rich. Beautiful job, Rich. Smoky curls, Sandy. Really beautiful. Can't see through, Jerry. Excellent. Third place. Her Bentley, Diana. Very nice. Second place, crisscross. Jerry, wow, tonight's your night. And first place, Sandy, Abstract World of Ice. Okay, now for our last content test. This is Group A. Okay.
Well, it was nice judging for you folks. I think I'm going home now. This is gonna be very, very difficult. And from what I've seen, there's a couple of them that I think I'm gonna disqualify as I see, because I don't want to mess people up for if they're used in some of the other things.
Okay.
But we'll see how it plays out. So we'll go
All
from
right.
there.
Sounds like a plan. Fence and shadow.
Again, shadows and fences, they really make nice abstract images. This is another nice, very nice image. Keep it in.
Circle of life.
Spectacular, really beautiful colors, great abstract. Definitely keep it in.
Brainstorm.
Interesting. Again, I looked at this and I saw it, and it's definitely an abstract. But I'm gonna take it out. There was just I find it a little bit jumbled to where I'm not sure what I'm looking at or where I should be looking, and I've too many elements associated with it different. So
Okay. Slot Canyon.
this is my idea of an abstract within the slot canyon, where the other one was the whole canyon. Taking a piece like that, this creates the waves and the motion, the lines create the abstract, the image. I'll keep this in.
Reflections of lake weeds.
It's definitely an abstract. I just don't find it that strong, so I'm going to take it out.
In space.
Okay. Again, it's an abstract. But I'm just finding it a little bit too haphazard for me. So I'm gonna take it out.
Painting with light.
Uh, painting with light, geometric shapes, I think work well for abstract. So keep it in.
WTF.
Okay. I like the flow of this. I like the colors associated with this. Keep it in.
Wasteland.
So I don't see this as an abstract. I see this as a landscape of some sort. So I'm going to DQ this.
Abstract rose.
And again, I don't see this as an abstract, so I would DQ this. I think the colors are beautiful, but I just don't see it as an abstract.
City swirl.
This is kind of a nice combination. I like the abstract image with the city in the background. Kind of coming through. Kind of a unique image in that regard, but definitely abstract with the geometric shapes the way they're at. I'll keep it in.
Reality or illusion.
Definitely an abstract. I just exposure's okay. The composition, I don't find that strong, so I'm gonna say out.
Yellow and orange.
Nice abstract. I like the perspective on this going into the nothingness, but yet stay sharp all the way to it. It's handled well. The saturation is fine. I'll keep this in.
Distortion.
Kind of reminds me of some 1950s paintings that my father used to do. Some abstract type stuff. Very nicely handled. Keep this.
The support group.
Again, nice geometric shape, nice leading lines. the shadow versus the highlights. Done well. We'll keep it in.
A blend of colors.
It's done nicely. I get the feeling that it's a little garish, but it's done fairly well, and it definitely creates an abstract image using the bird's feathers in this regard. I'll keep it in for now.
Wild Xena.
Again, it's a beautiful image. The colors are great, but I don't see this as an abstract. I would DQ it.
Junkyard.
Okay. Okay. Definitely unique. Had to take a minute to kind of look around it because I was trying to determine whether it was collage or whether it was an abstract, and it created it's kind of an interesting look to it. It's different. I'll keep it in for the time being.
I Spy.
Interesting image. Colors are interesting. Comes across almost as a water paint, watercolor painting, which is kind of cool. We'll keep it in for the time being.
Pattern.
Definitely has patterns and shadows and lights. I don't think it's as interesting as some of the other things that I've seen, so I'm going to take it out.
Oxy 5.
Definitely an abstract, but again, I find that some of the highlights to be blown out, and so I don't have the interest. Don't have that interest. Some of this, although I'm waffling on this because there's some interesting things in this image, but there's some things that I just find a little bit distracting. I'm gonna say out.
As seen on a pond.
Again, to me, this is a reflection of trees and not an abstract. I don't see it as an abstract. So I'm gonna DQ this.
Canalbula Floral.
And again, this is the image of flowers, not an abstract. So I'll DQ it.
Turquoise.
Okay, interesting colors. You catch a piece of I guess a doorway or a building, something like that, but the patterns and so forth, what makes this an abstract. We'll keep it in for the time being.
Pickleball.
Okay, we'll keep it in. It's the colors are interesting. He took a kind of a high key picture of a pickleball court, created the abstract over top of it. We'll keep it in for the time being.
And finally, a different Xmas, Christmas.
Okay, definitely an abstract. It's maybe it's the balls on a Christmas tree or something. I don't know, but doesn't matter. It's got an interesting pattern to it. Colors are nicely handled. I'll keep it in.
Okay. We have 15 for round 2. Fence and shadow.
Find the browns on this bit, the right-hand side of this image to be a little overwhelming. And kind of a blocking to me, so that's gonna give this an 8.
Circle of life.
Spectacular image, it's really, really nice. I'm gonna give it a 9.
Slot Canyon.
Again, this is a very nice image. I'm gonna give this a 9.
Painting with light.
9.
WTF.
Um, 8.
City swirl.
8.
Yellow and orange.
9.
Distortion.
9.
The support group.
Nine.
A blend of colors.
8.
Junkyard.
7.
I Spy.
7.
Turquoise.
8.
Pickleball.
7.
A Different Christmas.
9.
Okay.
That's 1. That's 2.
Which one?
That one.
This one?
Yes.
Okay.
That's 3.
This one?
Nope. Cantaloupe fade. Back with that. That's 3.
That's 3?
Yep.
Okay.
And if you caught me on a different night, I'd probably have 2 or 3 different ones. So.
We're all human. Here we go. Abstract A. Honorable mention. Painting with light. Dan, once again, doing great tonight. Yellow and orange. Flo, beautiful job, Flo. The support group. Art, great job. A Different Christmas. Flo, once again, beautiful, Flo. Third place. Slot Canyon. Rich. That's really beautiful, Rich. Second place. Distortion. Dan. Wow. And first place. Dave Cohn, Circle of Life. That is some photo. Beautiful. Okay, now what I'm going to do is stop sharing. And anybody wants to turn off and talk?
Yeah, very interesting grouping of photos, I want to say. And it was interesting to see everybody's concept of abstract. I was very impressed by the group. And I think at the last board meeting, we decided that the winners for this contest, I would have liked to collect them as soon as possible, but since so many of us are away and many of you can't get your photos to us, we're gonna wait till like, I forgot what we said, like the middle of April or something. Mary, do you remember? So,
I believe we said, we told Harvey, try to go for the first week of April.
Yeah, something, we'll collect well, these are the ones that I would be working with, Bobby and Diana. So we'll get those pictures out the beginning of April. So I'll send out an email. So you'll have time to get your photos ready,
Printed, but you pick it up.
okay? Everybody good? But
I would like
during-
to, I would like to say that this is probably one of the most difficult contests I've ever had to judge.
Ah,
We make
It-
for very difficult contests.
It was the pictures were gorgeous. And like I said a number of times, I think if I judged on a different night, I probably could have picked 2 or 3 different ones. The same, in the same category. I tried to be fairly liberal with the DQs because there were some really gorgeous images, but in terms of how much of the abstract they were compared to other abstracts, I wanted to be able to give you the option to be able to reuse those images somewhere else in your competition. And if I had kept them in and not scored them compared to some of the other images, then you would have been screwed, and I didn't want to do that. But as a whole, the in both groups, just some really, really nice images. Well used with color contrast, exposures, patterns, composition. It was done very, very nicely.
thank you very much.
I think this has shown that
Great job.
this is a theme that we have not really explored much, and it seems like it's something that we probably have to explore a little bit more in the future, maybe with some workshops or some videos or something. Do you have a definition or a concept in mind that how would you define abstract photography?
Yeah, it is so difficult. So in my mind, it's got to do with patterns, repeating patterns. But not necessarily. I mean, I really struggle with this because my father was an art teacher, and in the 50s and 60s, and he did a number of paintings that were absolute abstracts, and they weren't they were lines that crisscrossed and weird buildings and different things, which were definitely abstracts, but it's not the typical geometric pattern repeating itself as an abstract, or something in nature that is just in a macro kind of field of an abstract. It's just a very difficult topic as a whole, and you've got to be able to, you want it to be not recognizable as an object, but yet still be the abstract portion of it that catches your eye. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the other thing I think that sometimes what happens is we tend to get too monotone in some of the images. Sometimes it works. You have enough contrast, you have enough lights and shadows, it can work. But other times I think things get washed out if all the colors are pretty much the same. Unless there's some strong lines or something that takes it beyond just that. It's a very difficult topic.
It almost seems to me that you have to throw out all of our normal, like we try to say, let's follow NJFCC judging guidelines. But it almost seems like you have to throw it all out. Because normally when you look at a photo, you're looking at, is it focused properly? Is there proper contrast, proper exposure? And then we're talking about abstracts, and it's like all of that is meaningless.
Well, I don't know if it's
You have to find a subject, but in abstract, you don't necessarily look for a subject. So I'm looking at what you had to do, and I'm like saying to myself, God, how do you critique these?
Yeah. So I mean, you still look for, I'm not going to necessarily look for a subject, the same way that you would look in a normal image, but I'm still going to look for things that are blown out where it shouldn't be blown out, where, you have spectral highlights across an image that are distracting or distracting elements of an image. But with abstracts, it's really, does it pop? Is what's your initial, when it first comes up on the screen, does it just smack you in the face? It's kind of that gut feeling to the image at that point. And you're right, it's very much contrary to typical judging of a landscape or a portrait or those kind of things.
Greg, I just want to say that I really enjoyed working with you. This is my first time doing this for the club. But you were Johnny on the spot. You got back to me right away. So I really appreciated working with you.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, anybody else have, but it was quite enjoyable, and I do like, go look at his Flickr page. He has some really, really nice images.